How's it going? It's Charles Botenstein back here in my New York City apartment. Today we are going to be talking about something. Oh, by the way, for those that did not come over from another video review, this book, which I just reviewed, The Power of Neuroplasticity, is absolutely amazing. Needs to be picked up. And What You Say When You Talk to Yourself, these are both by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. Gosh. He's going to shoot me an email and be like, dude, say my name right. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about, oh, by the way, pick those books up. But the talent code. So I first heard about this when I was at a Tony Robbins event, and I think it was a UPW, which is Unleash the Power Within, and he brought it up, and Tony never talks about books, ever, at any time. He just says, you know, he brings up people. Maybe he'll bring up his mentor, which was Jim Rohn, and then he randomly, throughout the 4 days, brought up the talent code. Daniel Coyle is the author, and essentially what he did for 2 years is he traveled around to certain parts of the country, or certain parts within a country that produced the greatest tennis players, say in Russia, or the best soccer players in Brazil, and the best baseball players in Puerto Rico. And he traveled around for 2 years to all these spots, and South Korea for women's golf. And he noticed that there's, and as he says it, greatness isn't born, it's grown. So there's certain areas throughout the world that produce these mega athletes, these people that are just on a path to greatness. And it could be from the poorest countries with no resources. You know, one of them was in Brazil. It was on a concrete schoolyard that was tiny. It was like, I think he said it was like 80 feet by 80 feet, or it was just this tiny little area. They weren't even playing with a soccer ball. They were playing with a ball that was really heavy and it was clunky. But this was the interesting part, is that because they played in such a small, tight area, their skills had to be honed to a T. And the ball was heavier, so not only was your leg getting more of a workout, you know what it is? It's like putting a donut, like a batting donut. It's a circular thing that you put on a bat before you go up and you go to the plate. It's in baseball, and you put this heavier donut on. You know, it just makes it a little bit heavier, but you swing with that, and then when you get up to the plate, the bat is a lot lighter. And it's the same thing with the ball in Mexico, is that this ball that they used was heavier than a regular soccer ball. So when they went on a big field instead of this small courtyard, or when they went on this big field with this light little ball, they were able to go around other players, and they produced the best players. And that's the same thing when it comes to playing an instrument. Golf in South Korea, tennis in Russia, it doesn't matter. The way, and they go over how it happens, and it's very interesting. It's absolutely incredible. There's a little diagram at the end of the book, and there's I don't know if you can see it, but there's a ignition. So there's an ignition that starts so they did a study, before I talk about that, but they did a study for people that were about to, I think, play an instrument, and obviously don't quote me, but they were about to play an instrument, and before the students, they were very young, you know, like 6 or 7, before they started, they took a test, or they asked them a quiz or whatever, a bunch of questions. They said, how excited are you about to start an instrument? How often are you going to practice? How long are you going to practice? And do you feel you're going to be successful? And this is really where it came down to, is that the kids that said, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to practice a lot and everything else, they went into it already yearning to be good or yearning to practice. But the kids that said, I'll see if I like it, then I'll practice, were not as successful. So what does that mean? That means going into an activity, do not just try it out. Go in and say, I will do the best I can. I will practice on a language or fitness or making money or relationships or whatever. go in with a mindset that you'll practice as much as you can. That's the ignition towards whatever you want to do. And the reason being is that when you just try it out, that means that you want this instrument or this sport or this event to affect you. But really what they're saying is that you affect the event and you practice. This is the biggest thing. So I got two things that are just tremendous out of the book. Number one is a lot of people, and I own a real estate company, and a lot of the agents that come in, they don't want to make mistakes because I expect a lot from my agents, as a boss, and they don't want to make mistakes. But the biggest thing in the book that they covered is that the kids and the players and whoever they were looking at the time, saying golf or music or whatever, is they made mistakes, but they made mistakes and then were not embarrassed by them, but corrected the mistake. So you're saying, okay, thanks a lot, Charles. But this is the biggest thing, is that agents that I've hired, a lot of them don't want to make mistakes. If they don't want to make mistakes, then they'll never be great, because they'll never be able to hone their skill of negotiating, of selling, of being a good agent, of serving fastidiously, to promote themselves, whatever the case is. If they don't promote themselves incorrectly, they'll never find out how to promote themselves correctly. And it's the same thing when you're becoming great. They said that the best one is the best example is an instrument. Is that there's a video, apparently it's 6 minutes long, and this girl masters this very difficult piece, something that she's never seen in her life, and she's just going through it. She visualizes it, and then she's going through it, and she starts making mistakes. And with her, she's like, I don't know if it's a clarinet, but she plays the wrong note, and then she goes back, and then she plays the wrong note, and then she goes back, and she's thinking about it, and you're looking at her, and everything like that. And then you notice that she's doing it to hone the skill just on that one note. So the whole piece sounds great, but what she's doing is she's individually honing her skills on each note. And that's the same thing in basketball every day, just free throws before and after practice. Golf, just the people that practiced their swing 60, 70 times before they got on the golf course, before they had a lesson, or 70 or 80 times after they've already played golf, after they've had the lesson. They're honing an individual skill, and that is the difference between average and greatness, or good and great, I should say, which is actually a book up there by, forgot his name. What's his name? Good to Great, Jim Collins. But the other thing is myelin. And myelin is this, they have a picture of it. It's this clear kind of goo thing that really doesn't, it received a bunch of hype a couple of years ago. Someone discovered it, and they really never understood it. Here's a picture of it. And it's around the brain, and what they've noticed is that myelin, and I said this with the other book, is that myelin is something that it grows exponentially when you're younger. Your myelin is essentially something that connects the skill in an area. So say you're a master pianist and you're playing, and people look at it and they're looking around, and they have their eyes closed, and you're like, how do they do that? It's because the myelin in their brain just fires at such a rate. It's so close that the neurons and the electrical impulses between them that obviously trigger into the fingers and him playing. And it's the same thing with, say, a golf swing. It's just, or say you're a batter in baseball, to understand a ball that's coming 98 miles an hour and is only this big, you have to make a decision I think it's 0.03 seconds or 0.3 seconds. I don't know. You have to make a decision, 1/3 of a second, to swing or not to swing. That means your myelin has to be just so wrapped up in each other, and that's with anything. And myelin is like anything else. The more you work at it, the tighter it becomes, the easier it is to swing your bat, to make a decision to swing your bat. The people that have looser myelin in, say, batting or baseball, they can't make a decision quick enough, or they don't. and they don't swing. And then that's ball or strike 3 and they're out. And that's the difference between making the major leagues and not making the major leagues. So I highly recommend the book. It is absolutely amazing to be talking about myelin and what it does for you. So in the book, I don't know if it's this one or the book I just reviewed, which was The Power of Neuroplasticity. I think it was The Power of Neuroplasticity, but they also bring it up in the Talent Code, which is, it's 5 out of 5 stars, which is, you have to understand myelin. Like, it's a part of our life. And myelin, either it atrophies, in other words, it breaks apart, or at least it loosens the less you use it. So if you don't challenge yourself, if you don't practice, it's like someone, perfect example is, who was it? That they were coming towards the end of their career and they said, I have as much talent, I have more talent, but I just don't have the speed. And that's the breakdown of myelin, which is really just aging. And it's unfortunate, but we're all aging at any single time. Obviously, there's a peak of your career if you're an athlete, and then it just goes down from there. So you have to get smarter. So there's things like playing chess, picking up an instrument, starting a language, writing with your opposite hand. And what it does is it recreates in a certain part of your brain that myelin has either dissipated or started to atrophy. So you pick up a skill that you've never done before, but it really challenges you, like say a puzzle or Sudoku or something that every single day, and say it's Sudoku where you don't know the answers at all, and it really challenges you and it makes you focus, just like in a player who's thinking of playing an instrument and trying to master a score, master a piece, is that they focus on each individual note and how it just congruently flows throughout the piece. Anyway, I'm Charles Bodenston. I hope you pick up the Talent Code. It is a 5 out of 5 star. And then obviously the other 2 that go along with it, I made a separate video review of those. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is, you can find it at icharles.com. And subscribe to YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram. Those are my 2 favorite social media networks and obviously my favorite website. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. And if you have a book that you want me to review, people are now sending me books, and I'm reviewing them. And the next one is not a review that I was sent, but by Michael Neal, who has a book called Super Coach. And it's already received amazing reviews. I'm just starting it. But anyway, talk to you guys soon, and of course I'll talk to you guys soon. I will talk to you guys soon.